Hey guys, very good evening, and this is Stephen Darvi from Traffic. So we have this podcast like They Who Do, and we have very honorable guests and people who are trying to push limits, trying to do something for the society, trying to change the technical ecosystem. And I was lucky to meet Tony recently, and he was very generous enough to accept our offer to be here in our podcast today. And I want to really give a few glimpses about Tony because I know him for a couple of weeks and we have been constantly discussing, and I know how his company works. He founded a SaaS company called LandingRabbits. The, the good part is this SaaS company helps SaaS company to create great landing pages. And we all know why landing pages are important because like we need to increase footfall, and every business owner across the country, across the world, they face huge challenges in making conversions, bringing new customers in, and retaining the old customers, old users. So that is where Tony's company playing a crucial role. And Tony, with his co-founders, they started this company together. They bootstrapped it, and I'm really happy to see the way they are progressing in this system. And yeah, let me introduce our honorable guest, Tony. So from London, England, founder, CEO of Landing Rabbits. Okay, Tony. So this is my first question for you. Okay. So you said like you were working in SaaS for more than 10, 12 years, I guess, right?
Yeah,
So
that's correct.
and at some point you started your own SaaS company and you wanted to tell people a SaaS company could be scaled up easily, which is a very odd thing to promise. So I just want to start with how was your SaaS journey, like before landing rabbits?
Yeah, so I started my first company 2010, 2011, and
Okay.
that was a social media aggregation company, or that's what it became. But I
Okay.
wouldn't say that journey was an easy one. So when I when I
Yeah,
started my
obviously.
first one, I was like, uh, I I I just graduated from the university. I had my first real employment. I had a lot of. I started working since I'm 13. I've been working doing some jobs, but that was the after uni the first real job that I involved with was in a digital agency, and through that we got some ideas how what to do, what type of product to build. But yeah, the start wasn't easy.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Uh, so starting a company straight away from your graduation, was it tough?
Yeah, we sort of I had a my background before that was that I was interviewing media companies, media sort of leaders, CEOs of big media companies in Finland, where I'm originally from, and I got some ideas how to help. Back then, media companies were saying that, all right, everyone is going to digital. Our print revenues are dying. We don't have enough sort of relationships built online. And I thought I can do something about it. And I started building an idea from there. But I didn't progress it straight away. I never thought I will become an entrepreneur. I just had that idea that I had built in my mind based on all the interviews that I had done. Then I started working for a digital agency. They did a lot of mobile apps, websites, range of different projects where I was involved as a sort of like a project manager, product manager, that kind of a role. And one thing led to another. I met some of those people that I had interviewed and some new media sort of clients through that work. And they all were saying that they would love to build some sort of a relationship, something that print newspapers have kind of automatically. So like when a local print newspaper is shared in Finland and in other countries where they're really important for the local communities, there's a lot of stories from like discussing the local people there. There might be some adverts by the local people. It's like a piece of the community in a way. and they wanted to create something similar for the internet. Like as they called it back then. And the yeah, I started building the first product from those ideas. What we found out quite quickly was that just having an idea and maybe a customer as well, like customers requesting something, um, it's not a way to kind of build the best possible company. Like everyone out there is saying that find a problem that a customer has and then solve that. Try to build something to solve it. But that's not really the way how you build a successful company. You have to be more strategic about it. You have to kind of like understand a bit bigger picture, not just that one problem that you're solving. And I think that made our life quite difficult. That we just like jumped in, decided to build something that customers wanted, but did not have a like a long-term strategy that where that company is going. So yeah, lots of challenges followed from there.
Okay. So it's a really great answer. So, so you said a very beautiful thing. Okay, you were talking about ideas and stuff, right? So how to transition idea from, um, to a product and something like that, right?
Hmm.
So when you talk about ideas and transitioning the ideas to, a product, how tough was it? Because you were telling about one more thing. So maybe if you have a product, maybe if you have your first client, you can start a company. And you were talking about ideas, right? So is it good if we just have an idea and go, or we have to have a proper plan
Yeah,
when
I
we are
would say
starting?
that. Yeah, I would say that the idea is just a starting point for
Okay.
your research. So instead
Okay.
of actually focusing on the idea that much, you should go on and discuss with people and try to figure out that how do others sort of like take a look at a full picture, a full process instead of that one idea. So if I'll give you an example, when I started building LandingRabbit, I actually listed like roughly 100 ideas that I've had for SaaS marketing or running startups or anything that I've observed during the years. And when I then look at that list, I notice quickly that these are not all of these are ideas that I want to pursue as a person. So
Okay.
it's not they are not ideas that might be sort of some of them might require a significant funding, and I don't want to raise significant funding. I want to bootstrap. That's like where I'm coming from. And then
Okay.
some of the ideas might require running a big sales team, and that's not
Yeah.
who I am either. I want to create something that is like product led, software as a service type of a business. So some of the ideas I was able to already kind of like exclude from the list that these are great ideas, but not for myself. And that's one of the things that I think many founders and many people who are just about to start their new company, they don't necessarily realize that it's going to take 10 years or 15 years to build a successful company. And if you already start with something that you don't believe is going to be a good fit with you, it might be a pretty tough journey from from maybe the first year is pretty good, second year is still good, but after a couple of years when you have really tough times or when you reach something like 10 years, you start to lose the motivation if you don't have a proper plan. But yeah, I start from the list of ideas, but when I then choose those ideas, um, I'm not I'm not going and researching the actual idea. So, like one of the ideas that I had before I started working on LandingRabbit was that how would AI help optimization of the website? So, for example, A/B testing. That could you do it with the help of AI? At the moment, it's a very um, sort of like a very manual process. If you want to do A/B testing, you have to build a new version of the page and then run a test for a month and see if the results are there. And one of the ideas was that, okay, how about AI powered A/B testing? But I'm not going to go there and sort of ask people that would you like to have a product that um, creates A/B testing with AI. Instead, I'm sort of interviewing people that know the A/B testing really well. So I contacted like the gurus that I found on LinkedIn. I discussed with them. I asked them to go through the process of how do they do the whole thing. Not I didn't ask them anything about like uh, do you see AI helping you or what would be a good product with AI. I didn't ask anything about that. I just asked them to tell me the process. What do you do at work when you need to do the test? How do you approach it? What are sort of like the steps in the process? And then what are the challenges and what are the easy bits of that work? And based on those sort of interviews, I'll then decide if I'm going to go after this actual idea or what the idea is. In that case, I decided that I'm not going to go after that. I'm going to build something different. But what the interviews told me was that the research part of the test is really hard because companies might have a lot of data points. They might have like analytics on the website. They might have some sort of a consumption metrics, how people are using the page. They might have videos. They might have surveys. They might have live chat. A lot of content to kind of figure out that what is missing on the website or what to improve. And it's really hard to find that like that the what is significant enough, what should we test, where should we invest in terms of testing different ideas. And then another part that they struggled with was actually um, building those tests. So, for example, a new version of the homepage or a new version of the checkout flow. And they were saying that the difficulty is that you need to collaborate with designers, developers, business team members, marketers to just get that A/B test
Yeah.
running. And that's how kind of like that's just an example of a sort of like trying to figure out that if one of the ideas that you have, if they're first of all could fit with you, so as a person, if your skills, your passion is somehow kind of like attached to that, or and also like understanding that what the real problems are, and not just one, like one idea or one problem, instead like what are the problems in the whole big picture. And I think many startup founders miss that they kind of focus on the problem that they've seen in the market, but they don't necessarily realize that every user has a bigger picture, bigger workflow that they need to solve.
Okay. So it's really an intriguing answer because, like, I was thinking about my own startup journey when you were talking. So you said, right. So you listed around 100 ideas that you want to go with. And when you said you had some ideas that required a huge sales team, and there are some ideas that required, you know, huge investments. So you were very conscious. That is what I can say. You were very conscious about you're going to start with a certain budget. And as you said, you want to start with a product-led startup. Okay. So because like
Correct.
uh, maybe. So I'm not sure about how the economy of England works, but if I'm just talking for the Indian entrepreneurs who have companies in India, because as you know, around 8,000 startups are getting registered in India every single day. So that is the
Mhm.
recent stats that India is like kind of investing in startup ecosystem, and we have been putting crores and crores of funding. So in Indian startup ecosystems, and Indian government constantly helps people to gain, free grants. Okay, if you have an idea and if you have a minimum prototype, you can approach the government and you can get a grant of somewhere around 10 lakhs Indian rupee. Okay, so which is like million Indian rupee in Indian rupee, right? So that is actually possible. Okay, just give me- yeah, sorry, yeah. So It's giving. Okay. But what happens is like, so India, mostly what I'm looking at is Indian startups don't have this kind of product-led startup idea. Okay. So out of the 100 startups, right? So there might be
Yeah.
two, three startups who have a product-led startup idea. And most of us want to go with a service ecosystem. The reason is because we have more people to serve. Okay. And I'm looking at a gap here. So why a Western, European entrepreneur is investing in a product like startup, and why an Asian entrepreneur want to go with not just fully Asia, because China is investing on so many product like startups. Okay, and they're also into service industry, as you know, they ship globally. But here we have mostly service industries. I just want to talk about the economy. Okay, for example, think of the scale of Indian economy and the population. And here, as I said, like 96.7% of the companies are service companies. If you, and as you said, a very valid point. As a service company, you might survive for 2 3 years, and then you have to transition into a product company. So for a service company, what would be the right path they have to choose to be a product-led company?
Yeah, it's a really good question in terms of like how to approach it if you want to move from either from service to product led or from product led to
Yeah,
enterprise or service. It's a classical sort of like a problem in all startup companies. That most companies obviously start with founder sales. So the founder is kind of approaching to their network, trying to get some sales done, but then very sort of big percentage of current SaaS companies in the Western countries, like you said, are approaching or are trying to build the product-led version instead of the sales-led one. And I think the sort of seeing others doing it, seeing others being successful, seeing sort of seeing the possibility that you can probably have quite lean organization, less people, less sort of like sales and sales people in particular. It's attractive from especially from technical founders' point of view, as technical founders are not necessarily dreaming of a big sales team to run and to build. And when you listen to different podcasts where entrepreneurs are sharing their stories, they often tell that, well, sales and marketing kind of just like it was part of what we had to do to get those first customers, but it wasn't the reason why they wake up each morning. And
yeah,
I don't know exactly what is why would in different countries or in different areas why would there be a difference? But one difference I can tell obviously is that in Finland the service market within Finland is so small that it's not a feasible in many ideas are not feasible as a service business. And then another thing is that we automatically kind of go after either German market or English speaking market because they are like so much bigger than the Finnish market, which is 5.6 million, and we have our own language, and then even the Nordic market is
yeah,
everyone's got their own language, so it's not attractive for many types of companies. It's not enough, but yeah, obviously you can have local service, but yeah, not for every type of company. That's one. I think one thing is the sort of like where are you coming from and what's the market around you that will guide you a bit. But in terms of why to choose product led or sales led, I think the more technical you are, the more likely you will go after the product-led idea instead of the sales-led.
exactly. Yeah. That's a great thing. Yeah. So few countries like, as you said, Finland market, and when you say technical founders don't want to
Yeah,
have a big sales team. I recently saw this in, I think in a interview. So Telegram founder was talking about his team size, and they didn't even have an HR protocol. No, but when you run a service company, HR protocols must be the first thing you have to consider, because we have to do so much evaluation and stuff. So that's a great thing. So I just want to go with two, three few more questions, because this conversation, particularly for me, is kind of thought provoking, because yeah, as you said, different parts of the world and different areas have different perception about doing a business. Okay, so I'm not. I don't want to differentiate from your point of view. But as you said, you met some gurus, right? So when I started the company, I met some gurus, and they were all very unpolite to the technical founders. Okay, so I went to a conference and I was presenting my company's idea. It was my first few pitches when I started. Okay, so it was a conference pitch. So I'm just going there to create an awareness for the company. Okay, we exist in the market, so we do this and that. And there was a panel head, and he said me, so the kind of companies that fail, and it was a question. I was answering most, in a different way, like maybe they don't have a sales plan, maybe they don't have a proper pipeline, something like that, and that. And he said, because most companies are started by someone technical like you guys focus more. I mean, he said me, okay, because I started the technical company because I'm a software developer. So I started building softwares, right? That is my first journey. That's how I started. And he said, when a software engineer or when a software developer like you starts a company, all you think of is the software. You just take Facebook and Google as reference, and maybe few other top-notch companies as reference, and you try to mimic the product, or you try to do something that could be integrated to the product. For example, we build plugins and stuff earlier, right? So even if you're building plugins for other companies, and what is the point that you will be having this many additions? Because obviously it's a very competitive market, and you are going to put your product in the marketplace that is highly competitive and has huge resources of applications. And I was like stuck with the question for a very long time. And I thought, I might be wrong either, or the panel head, right? He might be wrong. So I just want to tell you this, because you said, as a technical founder, like even me, we want to run a technical startup. Okay. But when we go to investors, when we go to the pitch decks, it was a 10-15% about the product, about the technology, and 75-80% about the market price and how we can mark up the price, and what will be the customer acquisition rate, and what are the other benefits you have, what's your 5-year scale up plan and stuff. And I was like, I'm just figuring out what I'm trying to do. Okay, so as I always said, startup, right? So what's your take on this? The question is, he said, when a technical founder starts a company, this guy doesn't understand sales and stuff like that. And he quoted Steve Jobs. Okay, so Steve Jobs, in a very early interview, I think in the 90s, I guess, he said in an interview that people who are very essential for a company are marketing and sales people. At some point of time, they are the people who take care of the company, who run the company. So even Steve Jobs said something similar. But I think we have to break a stereotype. And if we are trying to break a stereotype, right? So what we should do as technical founders?
Yeah, that's first of all, that's awful feedback to say someone that
Yeah, yeah. It
it's
was on
because
me.
you're yeah, it's that's awful.
Uh,
But in general, I think really like what I've always benefited from in my all my companies that I've built, and if I've been able to help someone, what's been really important has been that you have one sort of very sort of technical, very back-end oriented person, someone who understands how to scale, how to set up all that infrastructure, then someone with more design and UX eye, and then someone with sales and marketing experience or interest, not necessarily experience, because everyone needs to start from somewhere. But what I see that why I see that as valuable is the fact that even the best technical ideas come from the sort of like collaboration with
yeah.
a lot of different people. And when I right now, for example, with my team, where all three people are very different, we're not like if we would meet just randomly in an event somewhere, we wouldn't probably become friends in terms of like oh yeah, we're some sort of soulmates, or that we share so many experiences together. But where we excel at is that we have our own sort of core expertise, and then we have similar values, and those bring us together when we're planning a it can be a feature, it can be a marketing thing, or a sales thing, it can be anything really. But different inputs, different views build a lot better product than just like me looking at it, or the more technical guy looking at it. So yeah, in that way, I kind of agree that yeah, the company is built by sole founders, whether that's a marketing founder or tech founder or design founder. They have that risk that they don't see the world as broadly as a team can, and especially when it comes to um, product development, I would say that the right now AI is really helping multiple types of people come closer together, be able to discuss the product, be able to designer can be a bit technical, marketer can be a bit technical, the technical person can be a bit of a marketer because of all those AI services. They're helping that collaboration, helping us all express our ideas, and I think that's a big opportunity for anyone who's like thinking today that okay, I want to set up a startup, and then the next question is that should I do it alone? Should I do it with one other person, two other uh, people? I'd say that like finding a duo or trio that can do the design, development, and marketing and sales. That's really powerful. And now with AI, it's even more powerful because those people can kind of find a way to express their ideas in a different ways.
Yeah, that is good. Like contradicting to my own conversation, when you were speaking about sole founders, like yeah, obviously I'm a sole founder as well,
Yeah.
and a tech founder, a design founder, and a marketing founder, they will obviously lack the other features. And I, what I felt is when a marketing founder founds a company, right? So this marketing founder will be really good in advertising, good in pitching the idea and bringing in customers. But he couldn't last. The marketing founder could not last in the market just because they will lack the technical support they needed. And most marketing agencies, right? They still operate as a not as a highly profitable company. They work with the small teams and stuff like that. And but when a tech founder starts it, as I understand it, so we built a product, and the product attracts design is something very essential because I believe in UI UX completely, because without proper UX you cannot build a good product. So when this design and tech founder collaborates on something, so I think marketing, sales, and everything falls in place because just because we are building something right for people to work on, right? Because that is, and I'm just fixing the pieces here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you're right. The how I see the marketing and sales in the very early stage, and if we go back to the how to build a company and from
Yeah.
the idea stage onwards, it's more like marketing sales in at that point is about getting enough discussions around those ideas and designs and development work that you're doing. So giving you an example with LandingRabbit, we've first interviewed a lot of marketers, SaaS marketers specifically, asking them that how do they build landing pages, how do they build websites, what's the process like, do they start with content, do they start with design, how does it work for them? And we only did that to understand their process. We didn't ask anything about the product idea that we had, or did not really discuss the product. We just wanted to understand that how this person approaches the landing page development, who are the other people involved, like are there developers, designers, or do they build it themselves? What are the issues in that process? And then from there, we started building first like mockups and HTML, some sort of prototypes, uh, very ugly looking, but something to get going. We started interviewing another round of people, and that's where kind of the sales and marketing person can help a lot. So like bring in the right audience, not just anyone anyone testing, any friend, any founder. It's a in our case, everyone who's been discussing with us is either SaaS marketer or SaaS founder or SaaS designer, SaaS developer, or someone helping them through an agency. But like everyone that we've discussed is somehow related to the SaaS industry and marketing and creating those. But the role of that marketing sales founder is more like identify the right people to already from the product development point of view and product design point of view. And then once we are now currently with the product, we're in the stage where we are asking people, some of those people that we've discussed with, we are asking them to test the product with us. But before that, we already sent like, I think I sent 100 or so Loom videos to people showing that, hey, we've discussed already. Here's what we've been building so far. Previously, you saw some images. Now you can see the whole flow. What do you think about it? And one of the key things that we've learned through that, and what I've learned previously, is that those discussions help you to narrow down the amount of work that you have to do in the design and development piece. We, as an example, when we started the interviews, we thought that the idea is that the product will help you to publish pages to, for example, Webflow, because a lot of people are struggling with Webflow. They're marketers and they can't, create pages easily. We thought that that would be the product. But what we found out only because we've been discussing with a lot of people is that many more people struggle with the planning of the page. So they don't know what should be on the page. I get daily, weekly, a lot of marketers and SaaS founders saying to me that, yeah, I can build the page on WordPress or wherever, but I just don't know what goes into that page. Like, I have no idea if my page idea is good enough, if my page is something that attracts customers. And that information we only have because we did not just start building and designing, but on the way we were like asking that, hey, what is difficult for you? What do you think about the idea? What is important? And we've been able to kind of like narrow down and build a lot less than we thought. So if we would just build the piece that we thought, we would still need a lot of time for some sort of an integration with Webflow or others. But now it looks like we're going to be able to find customers just using the planning side of things. So yeah, I think that's like you're absolutely right that the marketer, it will have hard time building a successful product, for example, outsourcing it to an agency or so. That will be a hard one. We've both probably seen people who've tried to do that, and it's a difficult process. But at the same time, the sort of the more you discuss with customers, the more you discuss with prospects, the more you can sort of like make your idea more compact and more impactful straight away. I think that's the sort of the founder's role if you're a marketer or a salesperson.
And that's really great. Like the way you explained about this marketing technical collaborations, right? And about your interviews with SaaS marketers. Okay, so uh, we always had this question because, like, when we build a SaaS product, right, it's all about customer acquisition, user acquisition, right? And we can see, and you said about the AI transformation that's happening right now. For the past few weeks, few days, we were talking about DeepSeek AI that is like, acquiring all the integrations. I think today I read an article from Microsoft that they are integrating with their Azure platforms and stuff. And even Microsoft is one of the co-owners of OpenAI, one of the lead investors of OpenAI. I think they acquired them. But even having an AI platform within the system why a company like Microsoft is trying to acquire its own competitor product, like use it something like that, because they already have a system that is very good. I think so. And yeah, competition is one thing, and acquisition of users is something. And I remember ChatGPT proclaimed that they had some million users within some few hours, and that is how they show their strength. So, for example, if there is a bootstrapped SaaS company, right? So, what should be their plan for user acquisition, or what will be the flow of it?
Yeah, it depends on the product quite a bit, but I think in the early stage I prefer having like a very targeted group of first testers, like people that are representing a certain type of ICP, so to say, and then you test the product with them and then get a lot of feedback. But at least the feedback is sort of like it should be quite cohesive in a way that you can kind of make decisions that does this product serve this ICP or not. Sometimes people just like try to acquire as many customers as possible in the early stage. They think that if they get more customers and diversity, then the ideas will somehow, they will get more confidence that what idea is better. But the reality in startup lives is that the volumes are so low that if you kind of have like a diverse population testing it, you probably get ideas that hey, these guys would want to do this, these guys would want to do that, but then do you get enough confidence that a large enough number of people will actually want to buy this product or want to use this product actively? So my goal right now for LandingRabbit is to before we actually ask people to pay anything, I want to see a group of people that are very similar in terms of like what's their company, what type of problem they're trying to solve, what resources they have, and then if I find that active group of people, then I'll try to figure out that is now the time to kind of like put up a paywall and then try to scale this group of people. But I think when I built my first one, I was more focused on like how we can increase the number of customers and then decide from there that which sort of which type of company we go after. But what it often means is that you get such a mixed sort of feedback loop that it's hard to decide that okay,
Yeah,
we've attracted a lot of diverse people, they've given us feedback, but which one should we prioritize because we are not 100% sure who are we going to serve in the future, and that can cause a different problem. So I was writing today on LinkedIn that it's this post, and it's like it's one of the most difficult things in my opinion for founders that you usually are running out of money at some point. You don't have like forever funding, especially if you're bootstrapping.
yeah,
You will have others around you, consultants, investors that you're discussing with, your family, your friends. People are going to be telling you that, hey, you should just like try to get more sales and try to get more customers. And you don't want to look like you're unemployed and a loser, so you really want those customers, you want to have those paying customers. But at the same time, you should have the patience to kind of like, okay, I'll systematically test different types of customers, but doing it in a way that I'll get sort of feedback from one group at a time and not just like every cousin that I'll find to test it and so forth. Yeah, that's I think that's one of the sort of lessons that I have from my previous one that choosing what type of customers you go after can actually make a huge difference in terms of where the product then goes and how good quality the product is.
that is really great. So it's really very interesting, like what is said right now. Okay. Um, yeah. To wrap up the questionnaires, right? So we do this 45 minutes podcast, and I think I had so many information from you that was like very interesting. So you're talking about writing down ideas, meeting the right gurus, and about the feedbacks that we personally get from society. Like as you said, the last point you said was very interesting. As a startup founder, you might be, even when as a bootstrap startup founder, you might be running out of funds at some point of time. So I think startups should understand this is going to happen, because what happens, I mentor a lot of early stage startups, right? And they come with so much hope, so much passion. And when they see it is not working out for them, they kind of lose everything, and most people fall back. They get traumatized and stuff, and overcoming that must be the challenge. And as we know, like every company, every massive company that we talk about had some at some point in time gone through that. I think even Disney gone through the phase and stuff like that. But okay, during hard times, it's going to be a personal question. It's not about what you're suggesting for others. It's going to be a personal question. So during your bootstrap times, so you're bootstrapping writers, so during your hard times, challenging times, what would be the motivation that you give to yourself? Because like I just want to reflect, I just want to see the reflection of what you do with yourself. Because I have something similar. Because when I feel down at some point of time, at some point, right, I reflect on myself. Okay, this is why I'm here. This is what my purpose is. This is why I started. Okay, and I try to convince myself, okay, that is the hope, that is probably a prospect that's going to be closed in a couple of days or a month, something like that. So okay, at some point of time I'll be overcoming this debt or something like that. So what is your personal reflection during your challenging times?
One of the things I learned in an interesting way was that I I sold my previous business 1.5 years ago, and I had been running it for 13 years. I Throughout that time, I was telling myself when I had hard times, I was telling myself that I need to, keep paying salaries. I was thinking that I'll need to grow. All sort of ideas. I felt that I'm sort of responsible for the some of the angel funding that we got, that I'll need to kind of like be able to go through and make this company bigger, make this company this and that. I always, when I had hard times, and also when I was like working really hard, long hours, I had all those excuses in a way, or reasons that I was trying to come up that why am I doing this?
Yeah.
And then when I sold the company, I was it was an interesting experience because before the documents were signed, you couldn't tell if it's going to happen or not. That's like the reality of when you try to sell your company. It's like one day you already have like pre-agreed the deal, and the other day it's like, nah, we can't do it because of factor X, and it can end at any time. So you couldn't really prepare for it other than just like be prepared for the post futures that okay, maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. But when it actually then happened, and quite quickly I realized that okay, I don't actually have this company anymore, and it's been part of my identity for the last 13 years. First, I didn't feel much at all, but then later, like after a few months, I realized that all of those, or most of those things that I've been telling myself, saying that this is why I do this. I'm doing this because I want to employ people, because I want to pay back the money to my investors. All those things were fake. They were just things that I had built in my head to survive. Survive all those long hours, survive those down times, all the stress and so forth. And I realized that the only reason why I'm doing this is the fact that I can't just be I can be an employee, but I don't want to be an employee because of the fact that when I'm building something, I can make decisions if I see something is not right. I can make my educated guess that right now it looks like we're going to hit the wall, so we have to change, we have to make even drastic changes, painful changes, but we have to make those changes. And when I work for another company, even though I know that the founder needs, they need to make their decisions, that's their role, just like me, that's their role. But it's just really hard for me to stand and just recommend a course of action instead of being the one who's actually able to make that decision when they feel like it. And that's the only thing that really drives me, is like building something. I wanna be like in control of my destiny, but at the same time it's also the struggle that I can't, I'm not a great employee for anyone, because of the fact that I want to be able to make those choices if it looks like um, if it looks like we have to make a painful one. I have to be able to make those decisions. When I work for someone, I get really unmotivated when I see that this company could flourish if they, or at least I think they could flourish. I don't have the right answer, but I think they could flourish if they would change this and that. And I get very unmotivated when I don't get that through to the founder, who's have, they have their own reasons why they don't do it, which is completely fine, but just personally. But yeah, long story short, um, that's the that keeps me going. The fact that I can make those decisions if things are tough, if things are not going great. At least I can be the one saying that, okay, it's not great. Let's change. Let's try something else. That helps me, and that's makes me an entrepreneur, I guess.
That was really great. I mean, so you sold your company and you said like the long hours, the investments, returns, so that doesn't matter end of the day. And again, you sold a company and started it over again from the scratch. So that is the
Yep.
most interesting part. You know, yeah, that is the entrepreneurial spirit. So I'm really glad, like, I got a lot of insights from you because, like, so you are much more experienced than me, and you have, a much more better product that we are building down here. And after speaking to you, and I got a lot of inputs about like how to structure a landing page, how to increase conversions, and those are technical parts. That's what your company does. But apart from that, the mind behind the product, right? So, and I really, thank you for choosing such a product because, like, I know it solves a lot of problem because I have been building pages for 10 years now. Okay. And every time I build a page, I think of the heat maps, I think of the correct copy, I think of the placement of CTAs and stuff. And I even work with the tag managers where to position the tag properly and what could be my, analytical factors and stuff. And I know LandingRabbit is kind of a product that simplifies and put this in one place. You really solved a huge problem, and I really wanna. I know this product will grow, but this product will grow. This will reach great heights, And I'm glad I had this conversation with you. Maybe when I turn back 10 years later, and I could say, okay, I know Tony who are building landing rabbits, and that is the kind of connection I want to have with you right now. Okay, so and as a not just this, and when you try to scale your company up, right? So I could say India is a very good marketplace. Yeah, so like that's a suggestion because like when we build a subscription model business, right? We know Europe market is our niche market because subscription business won't mean it's not like will not like progress here because subscription business don't work here, and that is the reason. Um, Even when it comes to tech market, companies like Udemy are selling more courses than the subscription-based models because people are willing to pay for independent courses rather than paying for a subscription fee. So that works here. And yeah, thanks for sharing your insights, thoughts, and the final message you gave. Okay, about your spread. You wanna be the person who wanna make the change and stuff like that. I think I'm inspired, and with this, I just want this inspiration to pass on to people like who we meet, whoever this podcast touches, right? So I want that to happen to them. So to wind this thing up, thanks a lot, Tony. So I'm really glad we had this conversation, and thanks for being a part of Trafi's podcast, They Who Do. And we know you are the one who do it. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Stephen. Thanks, Stephen, for the kind words. It was a pleasure to join your podcast, and I'm sure Trophy will be a big success for you as well. Just need to keep working, and building the thing that you want to build.